Tonight, international and national reinforcements as the Canadian treasure is scorched. The jarring and devastating scenes in Jasper.
Probably the worst day of our lives.
Homes and history destroyed.
Those of us who experience Jasper as visitors can't imagine what it feels like.
Our full team coverage of the unfolding disaster. Exclusive new details about how often Canada has used drones to spy on opponents as the head coach of the women's soccer team is booted from the Olympics, hours after players score a victory against New Zealand. Plus, part 2 of our CTV News investigation, the criminal companies setting up shop here at home.
Canada is open for business for the worst people.
Also, Loblaw's $500 million penalty over a price-fixing scheme. And a woman survives a terrifying confrontation with a grizzly.
When the bear had taken me down with my head in its mouth, my first thought was just kind of protect your vitals.
How a hair accessory helped fend off an attack.
CTV National News with Omar Sachedina.
Good evening, everyone. Vast stretches of a pristine Canadian paradise are smoldering ruin tonight. A wall of flames as high as 100 meters swallowing homes, buildings, and memories in Jasper, where Alberta government officials say up to half of the town's structures may have been destroyed. And despite some rain and cooler temperatures today, the fire is still considered out of control. Hundreds of international firefighters are on their way to battle the wildfires. We will have more on that in just a moment. But we begin tonight with CTV's Andrew Johnson, close to the devastation in Jasper.
It's haunting. Homes and local landmarks in one of Canada's most treasured and beautiful national parks burned to the ground. One of those houses belonged to the LeBlanc family.
Our home burned to the ground. Our whole side of town, which is the west side of town, most of it is gone.
The premier summed up the heartbreak of an entire province.
And to those in Alberta and around the world who have experienced the magic of Jasper, the magic is not lost and it never will be.
Danielle Smith grew emotional after providing a grim estimate of the scope of destruction in the town of Jasper. 30 to 50% of structures burned. The fire south of town began consuming buildings Wednesday night, the day before flames had still been 12 kilometers away. Officials say its quick spread was fueled by high winds, which whipped it into an inferno, a 100-meter-high wall of flames that traveled 5 kilometers in half an hour. Firefighters on the ground could do nothing to stop it, and it was too dangerous for water bombers to fly.
Any firefighter will tell you there's little to nothing you can do when you have a wall of flames coming out like that.
Close to 25,000 people were ordered to get out of the national park on Monday. Tourists, seasonal staff, and the people who call this town of just under 5,000 home.
Lots of tears and just shock and disbelief and sadness.
Well-known businesses have also been lost, including the Moline Lodge, run by the same family since the 1960s. Jasper's mayor is calling the destruction his worst nightmare. The premier is promising to rebuild.
Alberta's government will provide the support needed to families and community to recover and to rebuild stronger than ever.
There are some very important parts of Jasper that have survived. Critical infrastructure, including the hospital, schools, and the wastewater treatment plant, have all been saved. Key pieces of the rebuild over the coming months. Omar.
All right, Andrew, thank you. About an hour northeast of Jasper, when there are no road closures, is the town of Hinton, where some first responders were forced to relocate. CTV's Kathy Lee is there.
A lightning strike, and about 48 hours later, the worst nightmare. Communities close to Jasper, like Hinton, are helping.
Chaotic and, of course, like traumatizing for sure. And yeah, just thinking about our lives.
This woman works at Jasper Park Lodge, now hoping to receive financial assistance.
We're also grateful for the Alberta, or for the government itself, for helping all the people who needs help.
The massive wildfire has people in town concerned.
It was really scary last night. It was raining ash and everything was glowing orange. It was really scary.
Absolutely. You know, I think it's something that's in the mind of many people all the time here. We had the Edson fires last year and then Jasper this year, and it seems to be a growing concern all the time.
The town's mayor reassuring the community.
There is no risk to the town of Hinton. There's no fire activity in the Hinton area right now.
176 active wildfires are burning across the province. 54 are out of control.
We're expecting more of those winds in the province today, which will raise the fire danger for those areas particularly that didn't get much rain.
Resources from around the world are being brought in, including help from a local firefighter.
It means a lot to being able to participate in any of these events, because my brother lost his home a few years ago, and I know the real pain and hardship that happens when someone loses a home.
Several other evacuation orders remain in place in the province, including some in northern communities.
Eligible individuals, including temporary foreign workers who are part of a mandatory evacuation order, could qualify for a one-time emergency evacuation payment. Kathy Lee, CTV News, Hinton, Alberta.
Reinforcements are being deployed from across the country and around the world tonight to help in the firefight. CTV's Judy Trin with who is on the ground, who is on the way, and from where.
The flames come fast and furious. 176 wildfires are burning in Alberta. 54 are out of control. One of the blazes, likely caused by lightning strikes, is consuming the town of Jasper. Officials say it couldn't be stopped.
It doesn't matter what the preparation is. When you're talking a 100-meter firewall and you're talking a fire that's moving, 5 kilometers in a matter of 30 minutes.
Because Jasper is both a national park and a municipality, Parks Canada is working with the town in centralized command to direct resources to where they're needed.
Jasper, we will continue to stand by you.
1,900 firefighters are currently in Alberta battling the blazes on the ground and from the air. In a tweet, Prime Minister Justin Trudeau said the federal government is helping and mobilizing every necessary resource available. The Department of National Defence is sending logistic support and planes to help transport evacuees and equipment. It has not been asked to send troops yet, but that could change.
What we try to do is making sure that the right resources is going to the right place.
Help is also coming from other provinces. Ontario has sent 300 rangers to Western Canada. It's also sending equipment.
We have sent 4 helicopters, 1 Bird Dog aircraft that goes along with the 2 CL-415 water bombers, the associated staff, including pilots and aircraft maintenance engineers.
400 international firefighters are on their way. Crews from Australia are already on the ground in Alberta. More help from South Africa, Mexico, and New Zealand will be here by the weekend. Omar.
Judy, thanks. Further east, the story is twisters. Multiple tornadoes touching down in and around Quebec and Ontario last night. 3 separate tornadoes hit Quebec yesterday, including near Montreal, causing serious damage. Meanwhile, at least 1 tornado tore through Ontario last night, hitting south of Perth, about 3.5 hours east of Toronto.
We dashed inside. I said, this is not good. And we no sooner shut the door and we could see the water and the trees. The trees were uplifting.
A major cleanup is underway. No serious injuries have been reported. The man who allegedly started the largest fire in California this year has been arrested. Thousands were forced to flee Northern California overnight after a man allegedly pushed a flaming car into a gully. The fire exploded in size from about 2,600 hectares late yesterday to 48,000 this evening. We turn now to late-breaking developments in Canada's soccer drone scandal. Late tonight, the Canadian Olympic Committee revealed it has removed the Canadian women's national team head coach Bev Priestman from the Canadian Olympic team. The news coming just a day after 2 Canadian soccer staffers were sent home from the Olympics after allegations a drone was used to spy on New Zealand's women's team during practice. Canada's soccer CEO also releasing a statement late tonight saying the decision to suspend the head coach was because over the past 24 hours, additional information has come to our attention regarding previous drone use against opponents predating the Paris 2024 Olympic Games. Additional information by way of exclusive reporting from TSN senior correspondent Rick Westhead, who joins us now. Rick, tell us what you've uncovered tonight.
Well, I've talked to multiple sources with firsthand information about how this drone and spying program worked within Canada Soccer. And basically what's been going on for years is staff of the Federation and contractors have been, in some cases, pressured into recording closed-door training sessions of opponents. So we know this goes back as far as 2019 with the men's side, where I'm told by a source that a training session of the United States was recorded. And the big one on the women's side was the 2021 Olympics, where a source told me that before Canada's game against Japan, the first game of that tournament, that a staffer went and recorded 2 of Japan's training sessions.
So, Rick, if this has been going on for years, then why is it only coming out now? And are other countries also using drones to spy on opponents?
Well, that's a good question. I spoke to people within the Federation and close to the Federation who kind of said, you know, some of them, the perspective was, well, if you're not cheating, you're not trying. Like, everybody's doing this. Well, Canada got caught, as you mentioned a few minutes ago. The reason it hasn't come out sooner is because of fear. You know, one of the sources I talked to said that it was made clear to people who were pressured into doing this that if they wanted to maintain their jobs in a position within Canada Soccer, that they'd give 110%, go the extra distance and do what was required to give Canada the best competitive advantage it could get.
Incredible reporting, Rick. Thank you for this tonight. Well, despite being thrown into disarray even before the official kickoff of the games, Canada's women's soccer team had a winning start today. The defending Olympic gold medalists beat New Zealand 2-1. The win pushes them to the top of Group A. They face France next on Sunday. Tonight, we're looking into how criminal companies are setting up shop here in Canada to launch elaborate pyramid schemes overseas, in part 2 of a joint investigation between the Investigative Journalism Foundation and CTV News. CTV's Adrian Gabriel reports.
It looks much like any other office building in Markham, Ontario, but in one shared space, our investigation reveals it's the location used for 97 money service companies. And there's little evidence any of them ever did business here or that they were even actual tenants.
My name's Adrian Gabriel. I'm with CTV National News.
Inside, a manager whose identity we're protecting alleges that there's a list of criminal companies who've listed this unit as their registered business address.
Fraudulent people know that business centers are easy prey because they can use that address and it's a legitimate registered business address, but they're not paying to use it. But we can't keep track of the people that are using it.
One company using the address, Metaverse Foreign Exchange, also known as MTFE. It had the veneer of a legitimate online trading platform. It was even registered with Canada's money laundering watchdog, FinTrack. Multiple MTFE transactions went through Binance, a global cryptocurrency exchange company. In a statement to CTV News, Binance writes that during the initial phase of MTFE, the app managed to gain a rating of 4.1 out of 5 on the Google Play Store with over 24,000 reviews, and that the MTFE application was even made available on the Apple App Store. In August of 2023, the Canadian company's platform went offline, leaving hundreds of thousands of investors in Sri Lanka and Bangladesh in the dark. An estimate of more than $2 billion vanished.
Canada is open for business for the worst people.
Government lobbyist Sasha Caldera believes Canada is years behind other countries when it comes to anti-money laundering legislation.
We've had this backdoor open where you can incorporate as easily as possible and you can skirt beneficial ownership laws by being a foreign company. So this has to stop and we need to shut this down.
New regulations have given FinTrack the power to do criminal background checks. We tracked down Finance Minister Chrystia Freeland at an event in Markham, of all places. How do you believe these criminal MSB corporations who are stealing hundreds of millions of dollars reflect on our country?
I think your question is an important one. I think we do have more work to do here in Canada, both in terms of ensuring that we have the tools we need to crack down on fraud and money laundering.
Money service business insiders we spoke with say the companies we've uncovered here in Canada are run by organized crime groups internationally, and the names listed with each business are fakes. Omar.
All right, Adrian, thank you. Israel said today it has recovered the bodies of 5 hostages killed in the October 7th Hamas attack. In Washington, at a face-to-face meeting, President Joe Biden pushed the Israeli Prime Minister today to agree to a ceasefire in Gaza. The vice president, now in the race for America's top political post, also met with Benjamin Netanyahu today. CTV's Washington Bureau Chief Joy Melvin on what they discussed.
The Democrats' de facto leader, Kamala Harris, taking command.
Welcome, Mr. Prime Minister, and I look forward to our conversation. We have lots to talk about.
Her husband and stepchildren are Jewish, but Harris has taken a tougher stand with Israel in the past, warning its prime minister the suffering in Gaza is unacceptable.
Israel has a right to defend itself, and how it does so matters.
Meeting earlier with President Joe Biden.
Well, welcome back, Mr. Prime Minister.
The president pressing Benjamin Netanyahu to accept a peace deal, a top priority for Biden in his remaining months in office, and one that could define his legacy.
I want to thank you for 50 years of public service and 50 years of support.
Their relationship, not an easy one. Biden publicly threatened to hold back weapons shipments to Israel, pushing Netanyahu to close the gaps in a peace deal.
With some compromise and some leadership on both sides here, we believe that we can get this over the finish line.
Netanyahu's congressional visit to Washington has sparked protests again today, calling him a war criminal and angry at the Biden administration's support for Israel. Both leaders met with American hostage families, desperate for a deal.
We got absolute commitment from the Biden administration and from Prime Minister Netanyahu that they understand the urgency. The moment they come home, these 115, the killing ends, the madness ends.
Israel's prime minister will rekindle his old bond with Donald Trump, who hopes to win back the White House. He's urging Netanyahu to eliminate Hamas in Gaza. They'll meet tomorrow at Mar-a-Lago. Omar?
All right, Joy, thanks. Coming up.
It's the consumers that have been paying for it.
Canada's largest grocery chain agrees to pay hundreds of millions to settle a class action lawsuit. Plus, a Yukon woman's face-to-face with a grizzly bear. The head of Canada's largest grocery chain is apologizing tonight after agreeing to what the plaintiff's lawyers are calling the largest antitrust settlement in Canadian history. CTV's Michael Couture reports.
The parent company of the largest grocery chain in Canada has agreed to pay out $500 million for its involvement in an alleged bread price-fixing scheme that lasted 14 years.
Yeah, if they're saying that they messed up, then good.
It's the consumers that have been paying for it, so they should be the one to be reimbursed.
Nearly $100 million has already been paid out by the grocer back in 2018 when it sent out $25 gift cards to compensate consumers. It's unclear if they'll follow that model. In a statement, Galen Weston, the chairman of Loblaw and George Weston Limited, said this behavior should have never happened, adding, "We are sorry for the price-fixing behavior we discovered and self-reported in 2015. The following year, Weston Foods and Loblaw received immunity from prosecution in exchange for cooperating with the investigation. The lawyer leading the class action lawsuit says today's admission will help them go after other companies like Sobeys, Walmart, Metro, and others.
The moment a company like Weston, they're doing the right thing now, comes forward, they're going to be able to say, on this date we met with this person and this person, these are the emails you want to look for.
Last summer, Canada Bread was fined $50 million after pleading guilty to 4 counts of price fixing under the Competition Act.
That's like if someone steals $50 from you and you only get back 5 cents.
It's why some believe the Competition Bureau needs to do more.
The investigation is still ongoing after 9 years, and we still have 4 companies left that are denying their involvement.
A spokesperson for Industry Minister François-Philippe Champagne welcomes Loblaw's settlement, and they say with all major players signing on to the Grocery Code of Conduct, consumers should see a benefit. Omar.
Mike, thank you. Still ahead.
They've made it very clear that this is something that needs to be done. It would be nice if we did it as a family.
Revelations about the toll of a royal battle with the British tabloids. Prince Harry made some candid revelations in a documentary that aired today. The Duke of Sussex says his decision to fight the tabloid press in court is a major reason for the rift with the rest of the royal family.
They've made it very clear that this is something that needs to be done. It would be nice if we did it as a family. I believe that, again, from a service standpoint and when you're in a public role, that these are the things that we should be doing for the greater good. But, I'm doing this for my reasons.
In December, a judge ruled that Mirror Group newspapers had gathered information about the prince unlawfully and awarded him hundreds of thousands of dollars in damages. An oil tanker hit huge waves and sank in the Philippines today, killing one crew member. The country's Coast Guard is racing to contain an oil leak. The tank was carrying close to 1.5 million liters of industrial fuel when it capsized. After the break, a woman standoff with a grizzly. We are hearing tonight from a woman who came dangerously close to a grizzly bear and is sharing the incredible story of how she survived. Here's CTV's Sarah Plowman.
It was along this trail where Vanessa Chaput and her dog Luna faced 3 grizzly bears.
I was right beside them, and it was too close. There was no way that...
She tried to give them space. Luna got off leash. As the dog chased away 2 bears, the other attacked her.
When the bear had taken me down with my head in its mouth, my first thought was just kind of protect your vitals. So I went straight into the fetal position.
The bear released her. She hid behind a tree. It charged again. Luna distracted it.
If it wasn't for my dog barking, the bear was going to come finish the job.
Chaput headed to the highway, called her husband at 911, bloodied and injured.
So I have puncture wounds all up in my arm. I have a broken bone. I have a lot of nerve damage in that area. And then my tricep was torn into places.
The nearby campground was evacuated. 3 bears euthanized by conservation officers.
My saving grace was from Walmart.
A plastic hair clip like this atop her head that she says snapped in the bear's mouth. That's when the bear let her go. Chaput believes it was stunned.
It just shattered in the bear's mouth.
She spent weeks in hospital, but holds no hard feelings.
I don't blame the bears for what happened. I don't blame my dog or myself. It was wrong place, wrong time, and again, it could have happened to anybody.
Sarah Plowman, CTV News, Fredericton.
What an ordeal. That's a snapshot of this Thursday for all of us at CTV National News. Thank you for watching, and good night.